Okay, perfect. Hello everyone on YouTube, hello everyone watching on Twitch. This is the second day of the Hidden Cup 3. We are here in the round of 16, game number 1 between Saladin and Friar Tuck. Could be basically anyone in the top, let's say 18, top 20. 8 players of the players in this tournament had to qualify. The other end, which is more considered to be the better end of those 16 players, got a direct invite into that tournament based on past achievements in tournaments themselves, based on rating, a mix of all of those things, and also based on how strong the tournament organizers feel the players are when they play against them themselves. So in the southern corner, we got Friar Tuck spawning with the Mayans. The map, not too bad. It's fast castleable by the looks of things. He has safe berries in the back. He has a secondary gold, which can be walled really nicely as well. Wall here, for example. Then you could wall here and there, and then you don't have a lot of work to make your map safe. The only problem is you'll have 2 stones outside, but it's debatable if the Mayans are even if it's even making sense for the Mayans to go for plumed archers relatively early against Persians. I don't think so. In the north of the map we have Persians, which is quite a risky civ pick considering we have in those home maps well, we only have 1 hybrid map involved. So on Cup we've seen a lot of Celt picks. So then suddenly Persians, not too bad of a civilization choice, and a civ that can win against Mayans at any day of the week. But of course Mayans not out-cived at all here in this matchup. And right away Friar Tuck is starting it off with a boar seal, and the boar is going back, unfortunately for him. Did he just hit it once, or what happened there? It even took damage of 3... let's see. It was 4 damage. It was 2 hits, maybe it went back, and then then Blue went for another hit, and now he lost his scout already. This is so massive. Did he at least find all of his resources at home? I mean, this can still be mitigated if he goes for a fast castle. He walls differently than I suggested. It's also not too... Why are we making the barracks there? Well, maybe he just didn't draw his map that much just yet. So he thinks differently than fast castling this. Also, it's not that simple to come up with a wall, since it's not the standard approach to leave the main goal out. But another option would also been like wall here, there, and there. Let's see which type of wall he has in mind. Maybe all the way around the main gold. This can also be an option. Or then here, maybe there, and well, then it won't be a fast castle, I'm quite sure. Yeah, he's walling around the main gold. But he is going for a drush opening. Let's check for the Persian player what his opening is going to be. He's going for a second lumber camp already, so that tells for like 90% it's going to be scouts, 10% it's going to be straight skirmishers, depending on what he's going to find. And since Friar Tuck is going for a drush first, he won't reveal his follow-up all that early. So by the time Saladin reaches the fuel age, Friar Tuck will still be only halfway to fuel age or something around that mark. So something that is, if you're going for skirms, it's obviously quite risky right from the get-go. High risk, high reward. But if you wait as the cavalry player to see if your opponent is going for a straight double archery range, for example, and then you see them and then you make your own archery instead of a stable, that's actually as perfect as it gets. Yeah. But Blue, let's check his plan. He is on 25 population. He has 7 lumberjacks on this one, on his starting lumber camp. Not too sure how good of an idea that is. Don't like it that much. Do not go for a second one, especially since it's more front. Nah, both woodlines are equally hard to tower. So that heavily looks like a rush-fast castle by him. He's farming up 3 farms at the moment, not going for any deer. The only problem is it's quite easy to tower this gold. So let's see how this is going to play out. That rush did quite some work, way more damage than it should. Scared Saladin away from his berries. If Saladin would have stayed, he needed to fight, and obviously that's such a risky decision. You might lose a villager or 2 in the process, especially if you don't have your scout around. And now he even went for a horse collar as well. I don't think he'll be able to afford scouts. He still has some leftover sheep. Did he steal some sheep, or what happened there? No, he pushed in the deer. So then he got a little bit more food. But yeah, we already see his production. He is trailing. He won't be able to have a perfectly running stable, I presume. Unless he force drops now, but then he is going to sacrifice his town center production. Does he know about the full walls? He saw a lot of walling that happened. Now it's already at 11 minutes. If someone is going rush fast feudal, he would reach feudal age around at this point in time. And green is still not sending villagers forward. So his approach is going to be a completely different one than forwarding with the tower. He's just probably making one more scout and then that's it. And will try to get to the castle age as fast as he can himself. Which also is not too bad with Persians. Maybe he'll even manage the time of before the 18-minute mark, but I don't think so. And obviously, if you're against someone who is fast castling while you fast feudaled, you're usually in the worst position. Oh, the Mayan is even going for stone right now. 4 stone miners, and that looks to me more like an eco approach, because going to stone now, you won't have the stone to drop a castle once he is going to reach castle age. So interesting decision by him for sure. Still nothing happening. Saladin still thinking about taking the engagement to take the militia out. Ideally, you would want to have your scout aggressively to try to find some damage, maybe kill a villager. But obviously, when your opponent is fully walled, there's no way into his base. But there actually is. You can cut the straggler tree, and he saw that. And you can just scan with the palisade to see if it's still there or behind that. But still, then if you send a villager, there's quite a risk that your opponent is going to manage the quick wall, or he simply forgot about this option. And now he's going for an archery range, even though he doesn't know what the follow-up of blue is going to be, especially against a cavalry civ. What I found worked quite well with Mayans very often. If you play eagles or eagle pike, fast castle eagle warriors, for example, make a TC or 2, and then add in pikemen. And with those archery ranges, he obviously is not going to do himself any favor to deal with eagles. Luckily for him, they are not going to come, but huge gamble for Saladin already. You'd like to prevent that, but for now, position-wise, it's working out for him. He's not taking any major damage, and now clicked up to the castle age himself. So that will be a castle age time shortly before 19 minutes, I reckon, considering the Persian town center work rate bonus. In the meantime, Friar Tuck halfway to the castle age, and he actually has quite a massive stone count, so his income went faster than expected, even though he went to stone quite late. But contrarily to my build order, where you send 3 villagers to stone in the middle of the Dark Age, or towards the end, he sent 4 villagers at the very end of the Dark Age, and now has 7, so he sent 3 more in the fuel age, which definitely eases up or accelerates his stone income compared to when I'm only sending 2 more and when I'm not going for more than 5 villagers on stone in general. So he's dropping his castle immediately. He's not going for the economy approach by like deleting a couple of walls here, but I reckon he's going to drop a town center here next. Look at that, 18 minutes. Wow, that was a quite quick time to advance, and makes sense actually because green clicked up before 16 minutes, so a slight mathematic hiccup by me here. And he's playing double range skirms, but not producing all that many yet. Now he's even going to encounter an eagle. So what is his reaction going to be to that? Does he think now, oh, he found another eagle? So blue made 2 eagles, maybe to confuse green, make him think it's an eagle warrior play. He's not producing any elite skirmisher at the moment, but going for 2 town centers, so more of a boom approach by Saladin, even though he was the one later to the castle age. Not the biggest fan of this TC, or preferred slightly more outside, but considering the fact his first woodline starts to run dry in the closer distances to his lumber camp, it makes actually way more sense then. Monastery coming up by Saladin. He wants to secure himself a couple of relics, but those skirmishers won't get upgraded to elite skirmishers anytime soon. And now Friar Tuck is moving out with fletching on his plumed archers, going for his own monastery now, and he's going for a more aggressive army approach. Even still, 5 villagers on stone, so that indicates he wants a second castle. If he's going to drop it at home or aggressively, we shall see. But he puts himself into a position where he's forced to do damage, where he's forced to kill villagers, do something to Green's economy. Oh no, and he's straight running his plumed archers into the skirmishers, losing 1 in the process, taking a couple extra unnecessary hits for his plumed archers. Now another group of 5 plumed archers coming out, accompanied by 1 eagle. And they're trying to find themselves another angle to do damage against Saladin. What does Saladin see at the moment? He sees that eagle, but he's still not afraid. He knows he has that Friar Tuck has a castle. If he would play eagles right now, then he would put himself so far behind in economy, and Saladin, of course, is aware of that. Loses his monk to those plumed archers though, which are trying to run in. Seems Friar Tuck just clicked inside of Saladin's space, but now is being repelled by those elite skirmishers, also that villager, plugging the hole immediately there with a house. Well, 4 villager lead for Saladin, so it's not all that massive. He definitely went for those 2 extra town centers a little bit too early, at least for the 3rd one, since he couldn't consistently produce from both town centers at all times. Now even gonna go for a market too. Not sure what the purpose of that one is, to buy a little bit of food maybe. Yeah, probably because he's producing purely food units. Like for each archery range of elite skirmisher production, you'd need at least 4 farmers, and then say 7 farmers for each Persian TC. So it's going to result at 27 farmers needed, which he has exactly now. But of course, he also wants to bank up some food or be flexible enough to afford a knight here and there. Look at that. Saladin nicely splitting up his skirmishers. Don't have ballistics now though, so good for Friar Tuck. He ran almost straight into them, but got away without losing a single one. Maybe lost. No, that looks to me more like a dead wolf. And I went for a siege workshop, so mangonels is something Saladin cannot deal with at the moment, unless he's going to produce quite a lot of knights. And look at that, first mangonel shot, immediately taking down 6, 7, 8 elite skirmisher of Saladin. And Saladin's still not pulling ahead all that massively, even though the Persian town centers offer him that option for sure if you focus on your boom and and if you're not slipping up there. But of course that's such an important tournament, so much money is on the line, so I reckon that both of the players, or at least one of them, is not gonna reach his best performance imaginable, his best A game, just because of the nerfs, or at least needs a little bit more time until he played a couple games at this tournament to get used to the pressure. Oh, another huge mangonel shot, taking so many HP out of those elite skirms, taking that down 4 as well. Monk trying to get that knight, with Monk going down now though to those elite skirms. No, every single shot misses, so they're so inaccurate against moving targets without ballistics. Now finally green is going for ballistics. Let's see the resources he has in the bag. He's also farther away from banking for resources for clicking imp than the Mayan player, but it's still quite neck on neck. Friar Tuck though, going for a castle in the middle of the map. So he wants to pile on the pressure onto Saladin, probably with Imperial, but he does not have the res to click Imperial all that soon either. So not too sure what the purpose of this map in the middle of nowhere is. Of course it's a crucial position. Whoever is going to hold that massive hill in the middle of the map, look how far this hill actually stretches. Is going to win the game very likely as well, because if you have this position too, you can relatively easily trap down Blue's castle or retreat your army onto the hill if you're in trouble. And especially on this level, where everything is so neck on neck, armies, including army strength most of the times, a hill very often decides of if you can take an engagement or not, depending on if your opponent is sitting on a hill or on even ground compared to you. All those knights gonna be able to take down one mangonel, slightly out of position for Blue, and another mangonel going down, but not without doing at least some okayish amounts of damage to those skirms. And now Blue on the way to imp with this one mangonel there, taking unnecessary losses though, still against those elite skirms. Now the question is, will Blue just stick to elite plumed archers, or will he go for a transition? The problem is, the way his castle is positioned, he can't really rain down onto Saladin's economy, even with upgraded plumed archers to +4 attack, maybe even +4 defense. The elite skirms can just repel him all the time, especially considering that Saladin is on the way to Imperial as well. Oh, Friar Tuck catching those villagers almost off guard, but not a single one going down. He doesn't have ballistics by the looks of things. This could have been so massive if Saladin would have not paid attention. The one villager going down, but not more against so many plumed archers, 2 villagers. So that could have been so much worse if Blue had ballistics. Nice micro by Saladin, fighting against the mangonel with only elite skirms and going for more and more splits. That mangonel doesn't find himself a single kill against those elite skirms. Okay, now finally 1 kill. They have +2 armor as well, so that means each shot of a plumed archer, which doesn't have imp upgrades, is doing exactly 1 damage. So 35 shots to kill an elite skirmisher, which is quite massive. Which is approximately as tanky as a knight is. So we have still 1 mangonel sitting inside of this siege workshop, and Blue not trying to do all that much with his tech lead. He's not going for a more aggressive castle. He feels like Saladin has too much map presence with his skirms, with his knights as well. Saladin even going for +4 armor for knights first. So gonna neglect the skirmisher line for the moment, even though the +4 upgrade is massive against archery type of units, especially against elite plumed archers. That means you have 8 pierce armor, and the elite plumed archer does 9 damage with chemistry and bracer. But yeah, and now he has chemistry as well. Now they managed to relatively cost efficiently take out elite plumed archers. Blue actually attempting to run in, being repelled again by those elite skirms, and he's still stubborn. And finally he's planning on a transition to barrack units. Well, he can start to rain down onto that siege workshop at least, while utilizing the hill, but not all that much more. So he's taking into Eagle Warriors, while let's see Saladin, is he going for Cavalier behind this? He has 3 stables back there, but mainly skirms out on the field right now. No, he's going for Light Cav right now. So by only going Light Cav instead of Paladin or Cavalier, he's setting himself up for a throw right here. Once Blue has a good number of... Oh, look at that, so many of those gold miners going down. Once Blue has a good number of... once Blue has a good number of elite Eagle Warriors, those Hussars / Light Cav don't stand too much of a chance against them. So there's no answer for Green at the moment to deal with Eagle raids. He's getting chemistry though, so probably once he sees the first elite Eagle raiding attempts, he's going to make a couple of hand cannoneers as well to deal with them quicker. But for now, pure elite skirmisher production and production of a Light Cav from one stable, which is this one sneaky side stable. And look at Blue's economy at home, it's not all that protected. He only has this castle here, no castle there, just those castles on top of that hill, with which he wants to ignite the push. But now the elite Eagles are trying to find themselves angles to raid. Nice quick walls everywhere, all across the places by Green. Green, the signature color of Lyri of Nikov as well. So it could be one of those players for sure. And I'd also presume it's one of those. Eagles knocking on his door with elite plumed archers behind, so they have to get inside there eventually. And now, as said, Saladin has to completely switch his production from only elite skirmishers to hand cannoneers as well. And also he's finally going for more and more Knights Cavalier upgrade kicking in, so that's exactly what he needed. So those 4 elite Eagles ain't gonna stand a chance against that number of Cavaliers, especially considering that Blue does not even have a single attack upgrade on his elite Eagles. So there was definitely an argument to go for a second blacksmith as well in that scenario. But his economy is also not matching the size of Saladin's economy. Just 100 villagers, that's it, versus 131 villagers. Obviously, Mayan army doesn't cost nearly as much as Persian army, but still, you don't save resources on upgrades. Also, the collection rates at the end of the day are still the same for the villagers of both civilizations. The only thing that distinguishes both civilizations' villagers are that Mayan villagers deplete resources 20% slower. Now another engagement coming up in the center. Around 8 elite skirms, couple cavaliers, couple hussars, and hand cannoneers against those elite plumed archers, forcing the elite plumes to retreat. Castle drop attempt by Friar Tuck over there at that extra gold and extra stone. He wants to secure those resources desperately. Oh no, that gate even went down as well, so he was a little bit too slow with all of those quick walls. Now the castle is denied. That was not like that was not the castle that had to be denied. It was salvageable for sure with slightly faster quick walls. Now halberdier switch by the blue player, and look at that, green going for the commander and technology, anticipating halberdier or some answer to this heavy cavalry play. So it's going to be trash bow, the unique upgrade for the crossbow of Persians, even though they don't get access to arbalest, even though they don't get bracer. Their crossbows only cost wood, so that's why trash bows, and they are of course in late game situations incredibly cost efficient, especially in this stage of the game where the wood, where the forests and the woodlines on the map aren't anywhere near of having depleted completely. Some of course, but I'm talking about all the wood in the map. And obviously, wood income is still faster than food income. You don't have to, how do you call it, transmute. You don't have to translate wood into food by making farms. So less villager time is involved for each piece of wood as well, compared to food. And now more and more side buildings for those side raids coming up by Saladin. He's putting himself up into a really nice position for the late game. Let's compare relic count. 2 relics for blue, 3 relics for Saladin, and especially mesosifs in the late game are so dependent on relics. If you don't have like a significant relic lead in the with a mesosif, and you're not going to manage to close out the game before, let's say, 1 hour game time, then suddenly it's one of the worst things to have in the game, to be with to be stuck with a mesosif once the gold runs out. Huge push through the center, even going to push uphill. The green player is 5 rams, a group of 10 elite skirms, a couple of hand cannoneers trying to deal with those halberdiers. No crossbows just yet, but doesn't need to either, and some hussars too. So that castle is going to fall, even though Friar Tuck has the stronger military, the stronger army around this position. But his villagers to repair and take out those rams were just too far away. Also, he was lacking the melee units to take out the rams, and now crossbow raid coming in onto those extra resources. With those crossbows, they are even standing out of range, so a little bit of a misplacement with this castle. Should have been closer to the gold, but he had his town center there, so he needed to delete the town center. Of course, no one is going to do that. Let's see how much damage does it trash bow do against the plume archer. Still 3 damage, so not all that shabby. Of course, takes massive amounts of damage by the plumes. Doesn't pay gold for them though. Another ram push through the center. No answer to be seen by blue. He's only producing. It was only producing plumes from 3 castles. Now adding in 4 halberdiers into the queue. So it seems like he's not even using shift to produce masses of units. So that might indicate someone like MBL, or to queue up 5 units at once. And position wise, we also see some really nicely placed side stables on the right hand side by Saladin, patrolling halberdiers to intercept any kind of raid, trying to reach blue's base, but they're mainly at the right hand side. Well, he has a couple at the left too, but hussars can just run past them, and then it takes quite a long time for the halberdiers to reach the home base of where all of the farmers work of blue. And actually this fight is not looking all that bad for blue, even though he's fighting against hard counter units, even though he's fighting against non-gold units with full gold units, but he has the hill on his side. But still, I think each shot of those elite plumes does only 1 damage against elite skirms with those 8 pierce armor. But green's still holding the ground, especially with how much damage those elite skirms tank. Now he's gonna go back though. That's such a massive plumed archers. Yeah, look at that. 30 plumed archers have to shoot more than once for each plumed archer to take down the 1 elite skirmisher. Oh no, side raid going on. 3 hussars, 1 cavalier taking out a hell of a lot of gold miners of blue there. Blue putting his rally point of halberdiers to the left. Well, luckily for green, he has crossbows there too, so those halberdiers won't achieve all that much other than repelling the cavalry units. Well, he has a couple eagles mixed in there as well, but look at that war elephant just stomping down those few eagles. You see, oh, he's even playing elite war elephants. Gotta love his decision making there, going for that deathmatch type of army composition with the Persians. And slowly but surely, green is pushing blue off of this hill as well, while blue does not have any foothold at any other place of the map either. Really nicely positioned halberdiers though, intercepting this side town center attempt by green. And now another push. Actually, not another push. He just redirected the push, which was going towards the castle, towards the economy of blue. Because the castle can't take resources. It can just secure some resources, but there's not a hell of a lot of economy for Friar Tuck that had to be secured by this castle. I actually turn on the chat. How many elite war elephants did he produce just yet? Maybe 10, so not all that many. But he has the resources to just produce more and more, but he wants to save his gold. And now GG flying in for Friar Tuck. So it's going to be 1-0 in favor of Saladin. So that means we'll have the home map of Friar Tuck next. So it's going to be Ravines or Hideout. Hideout, we have a good chance of seeing Britons there, or Khmer, especially Britons since Aztecs are banned. But there is no other map where you could play a Khmer on. So I'm presuming a Khmer war on Hideout, or a Franks war on Ravines. So let's see if I'm correct with those predictions. So let's update the score. 1-0 in favor of Saladin. Looked through the achievements. Slightly more kills for Friar Tuck though, but of course the boom of Persians way faster, especially if they're not taking damage and if blue is not playing an eco approach at all, but is going for heavy plumed archer production, as well as for more stone mining with 4 or 5 villagers on stone after he finished his first castle. Maybe he forgot about those, but that put him behind economy wise, and in my opinion ensured that he could not succeed with an early impush against the Persians. But the Persians showing off their strength here, so they are justifying their spot as one of the top tier civilizations, might even be slightly ahead of Mayans.